Hi, my name is Jacob, and welcome to another Raw Uncut section on the Abrasive Media platform. In this particular segment, I want to talk about celebrity worship. So, as we all know, by now, or the majority of us, is that Will Smith at the Oscars slapped Chris Rock, and for one moment, the world completely stood still, and it made headlines, and it created a news event that even drowned out the reality of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. Was quiet for a specific moment. Many celebrities came out. Some have supported Will Smith. Others wants to sue Will Smith. And for me to question, even us on social media, the general population have our views to share. Some of us felt that this was violence and it was a bad example that Will Smith set. And others said, but this is a racial incident because the Academy wouldn't have treated a white person the same way, and they brought up even instances like Harvey Weinstein in particular instances in the Me Too movement. So it was a mega event when it comes to newspapers, and the biggest winners in all of this specific the biggest winners of this event, or that benefited from this specific event, was media houses, and even the Oscars. Their ratings went right through the roof, and a lot of people have clicked on that specific thing because this was a live, unscripted moment that happened. And even as Chris Rock said, that this might be the greatest moment in the history of the Oscars. So I don't want to sit here and regurgitate what many other people have said about this particular slap. My job, or my conversation here, is to raise kind of three different interesting questions, and you can join in discussing these three types of questions. So my first question was, when I look at this specific incident, is who is the real perpetrator? Is Will Smith the one who's that dished out the slap? Is he the perpetrator? Is he supposed to be kicked out of the Academy, have a case against him? Or is Chris Rock the perpetrator, who told the joke, who made fun of someone's illness and disease that Jada Pinkett Smith have? Is it okay for comedians to make fun of black women, and when black men then respond in a specific way, the world say, but that's not how we deal with this specific issue. And I think to answer that question from my point of view is that the perpetrator is the one who started a series of events. And I think Chris Rock, in this particular incident, is my perpetrator, or I'll point him as the perpetrator. If he didn't tell the joke, then none of this would have happened. He could have told jokes about Jada Pinkett Smith, but I think he went too personal in this particular instance. And that brings me to the second question is, where do we draw the line when it comes to a joke? Comedians lately have been cancelled, and some of the comedians like Dave Chappelle and Trevor Noah stood up and said, you cannot cancel comedy because there is a freedom of speech attached to it. And I understand and I appreciate their point of view when it comes to freedom of speech and protecting freedom of speech. But as Danielle pointed out recently to me, is that there needs to be a line. There needs to be a line where we can draw it. The moment we make jokes that is at the expense of other people, and that encourage violence towards them, or is violent towards them, then that is where the line is supposed to be. So to put the violence into different, you have two types of violence. You have the physical form of violence where Will Smith is slapping Chris Rock, and then you have the structural violence that is not physical, that you cannot see, that is psychologically, emotionally, and that is bonding and it has a psychological effect. And I think the violence that Chris Rock was responsible was a more structural violence, a violence where you affected the psyche and the emotional state of another person, and that in that specific instance, Jada Pinkett Smith. So I think both Chris Rock and Will Smith are responsible for violence, and the Academy is the third actor for me in this particular incident that is responsible for violence. This year might have been the most diverse Oscars, and they're dishing out Oscars to all of the minority categories this year, but they were responsible for violence against minorities in the United States for many years. So even them, they are not innocent in this particular matter. They're historical actors of violence towards black people and especially black women in America. So there needs to be a line, and that line is whenever a person takes it personally. That is the line. So it's up to comedians to figure out that line and deal with that line, but also have to deal with the consequences if they have crossed that specific line. And this brings me to my final question: is why the big fallout? Why did we, the normal people in society, have such a major fallout and enjoying in this particular event? And that brings me to my opening statement: is that I think this is a case of celebrity worship. People have been worshipping Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith for years now, especially the Red Table Talk. And then there's other people who have worshipped Chris Rock and their fans. And we worship these celebrities because for a brief moment in our mundane existence that we keep so much in front of these screens, we forget our problems and we live our lives through these people on our TV screens. And through living it on these TV screens, we don't think that these are human and that people are human and that there are human incidences like a slap on the stage of the Oscar. So when it happens, we feel robbed by our idols that we put on those specific pedestals. So if we didn't worship celebrities like we currently do, and how the media is feeding us that particular worship, you cannot open a newspaper that doesn't mention celebrities, and it's like we have to care about the Queen or a child of the Queen or the child of a celebrity. There's nothing that those people have ever given me that have changed my life. They are just living out fiction on television screens. But we care more about those figures on the television screen than we care about the people in our daily lives, in our circle. And that's the thing that we have to change. We need to look who's around us, and we have to care about those people in our immediate circle. And sometimes we even neglect our children because we spend too much time watching these actors and live our lives through those people on those TV screens. And we neglect our children, our nieces, and everybody around us. So let me know what you think. Am I off? Is this celebrity worship? Is this violence? Who's the real perpetrator? Please join in the discussion and let me know what you think. Once again, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. And until we see each other again, bye-bye. God bless. Thank you very much.